Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be talking about Major Winter Storm Malcolm, which is actually now technically a blizzard because we do have widespread blizzard warnings posted from northwestern Missouri northward into Minnesota and into South Dakota as well. We're going to be giving you my snowfall forecast at the end of today's video, so make sure you're staying tuned all the way until the end. And we're going to be taking a look at a couple different models and timing out this system for you guys. It will definitely be a very big one, and then right after that one we're going to have another system move through the same exact region except a little bit further to the south, and it should bring a lot more snow to areas like Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee as we go through the week and into the weekend. That's when that system should start to move in. And over the next couple of days, I'll be talking about that system, assuming that it does hold up in the models. We're only about 4 or 5 days out from that event actually being forecasted to occur. So here's what the current National Weather Service page looks like. We have some high wind warnings all through the plain states in that golden color, in the brown color, the light brown. That's where you're looking at some wind advisories. And then, so these are high wind warnings. These are wind advisories. And then we have high wind watches in effect for parts of Montana in that dark brown color. In this orangish reddish color, that's your blizzard warnings in effect for southwestern Minnesota, eastern South Dakota, northeastern Nebraska, northwestern parts of Missouri, and western Iowa, with some winter weather advisories surrounding that into parts of Missouri, even into Kansas, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, through Minnesota, and then back into parts of North Dakota. And then we also have a little patch of winter storm warning just south of Minneapolis there, and then other than that we don't have a whole lot of other watches or warnings or advisories in place. We actually do have some red flag warnings in effect for southern Kansas and southern California, and the only other thing that I see on the National Weather Service page of significance is some winter weather advisories in northern Alaska. So here would be what the NAM 3CAM model is going to show for the system, and we're going to break down why it's showing what it is, and we're going to time this out for you guys. So this would be basically right now as I'm recording this and what the model's interpretation of this is. And I checked the radar, it is actually quite similar to this, and if not a little bit colder than what this model is actually showing. We don't have as much rain as it's showing. We're dealing with heavy snow in those darker blues. In the medium blues, that's of course lighter snow, and then in the light blue, that's where you're looking at very light snow, just a few flakes flying across. But in those pinks, that's where we're dealing with some freezing rain and ice issues. And then in the greens, that's where we're looking at the greens, the yellows, the oranges. That's where we're going to be looking at some rain. So just to kind of break it down for you guys, this would be by right around 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Central Time. We're looking at some snow for Minnesota, the eastern Dakotas, Nebraska, Iowa, even into northernmost Missouri. And then as we play this through, you continue to see that on that back end of the system, we're going to have a lot of cold air. So all that warm air that was on the southern side of the system is going to be pushed further to the east. So now parts of northeastern Missouri, eastern Iowa, eastern Minnesota, and western Wisconsin are going to get into some of the snow. We're going to see more of that warm air pushed to the north in Illinois and southern Wisconsin, where you guys should still be above freezing. That freezing line should cut right across the state of Wisconsin. And then of course, as that system continues to head further to the east, this would be by right around 5 p.m. tonight, this would be right around 7 p.m. tonight Eastern Time, 6 p.m. tonight Central Time. We're looking at more of that snow moving through the northern plains. Here would be by right around 9 p.m. tonight Central Time. We're looking at more snow just scattered throughout parts of the northern plains. We are looking at heavy snow at times for Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota, so definitely watch out for that. And the reason that you don't see blizzard warnings up for this region, although you're still seeing heavy snow, is because the winds will be a lot lighter on the eastern side of the system, and we'll talk about the wind speeds later on in the video. But just know that the strongest wind speeds will be out here into the plains, where some gusts could be closer to 60 or 65 miles per hour. And you guys, if you do live in the plains, are already experiencing some of those very windy conditions. This would be by right around 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. on tomorrow morning, and we're looking at in Central Time, and we're looking at more of that snow still through the northern plains. And let's shift the screen further to the east, and we're looking at some scattered rain showers moving through the Tennessee and Ohio river valleys. And then as we continue this forward, you continue to see that by 3 a.m. Central Time, 4 a.m. Eastern Time, more of those scattered rain and snow showers are moving through parts of the Tennessee and Ohio valleys and into the Great Lakes. You can definitely tell where at least your upper level low is, and that would be right over here. Your surface low is actually a little bit further to the south of there, so your surface winds are circulating like this. Meanwhile, your upper level winds are going to be more like this. So there will be some sort of difference, and you will have a little bit of shear in the upper parts of the atmosphere, and that might play a part in some of the later stages of this storm as we see this dive down into Indiana and southern Illinois. As it does that, you're going to see a lot more of those streamer types of snow showers where you get little bands to move across some areas, and that could have a big impact on exactly where those could play out. The exact wind direction is going to be a big player into how this does end up. Here would be by right around 6 a.m. Central Time, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. That low pressure, at least in the upper levels, is moving through eastern Iowa. By this point, we see an arm of rain and snow showers, and that's actually your cold front. So we're seeing the cold front move first, and then we're seeing the low pressure trail it. Usually we see the low pressure kind of right here, and then we see the cold front pass through it. This is a low pressure up here with an occluded front further to the north, and that's going to be really important because that occluded front is going to link up with the cold front. And then behind that, instead of having the low pressure go by as the cold air is rushing in, we have the cold air coming in while the low pressure is just sitting there over Iowa and Illinois. So you're still dealing with all that cold air coming in from the north, but you don't have to contend with any of those rain snow mixed scenarios, and you don't have to contend with, well, how long is the precipitation gonna stay in because the low pressure is moving out. We really don't have to deal with that because that cold front is moving in front of the system, and that's going to be something that's really going to help bring up your snowfall totals. This would be by right around 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central Time, and we're looking at that low pressure dipping further to the south, and this sets the stage for areas like Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio to start to see a little bit of snowfall, because before you were in the 30s and the 40s, it would be too warm for snowfall in those areas. Now that that cold front has moved by, you are now down into the 20s and the lower 30s, which means that it's cold enough for snowfall, and now you're going to be able to get a little bit of snowfall in here, and some of these snowfall pockets will be closer to an inch per hour, although in some of these areas in the Tennessee Valley, you guys will only see that snowfall for maybe 15 to 20 minute periods. So you won't see sustained snowfall. It's going to be tiny little bursts of snowfall that overall might accumulate to closer to an inch in some areas. This would be by right around 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Central Time. That low pressure is dipping further to the south. We're dealing with a scattered rain and snow shower area over that cold front, and then you continue to see that cold front move by. We're seeing this low pressure really rapidly intensifying by this point, and as it's doing that, it's expelling all its energy, and that's going to allow some of this to set up where you see these little dots of snow and rain, mainly in the form of snow here, where you're going to be dealing with some heavy snowfall at times, and that's going to be where the bulk of your snowfall for these regions really comes in scattered pockets of heavy snowfall. And you see this system start to move further to the east, and really you're starting to see a lot of those tinier pockets of snowfall set up now. That low pressure is pulling ahead further to the north, and now this first area of energy, which is now down in Illinois and Indiana, is starting to dissipate, and you're starting to actually see another little wave of energy, which you can't actually see on your screen, but it's further west. That's going to start to try and ramp up into the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valleys, and that's going to be your next system in just another 2 or 3 days of this one. But your main system is now over the northeast. Your low pressure would be somewhere right around here with another low pressure system up here. So these two are being connected by that cold front, and that is allowing some snowfall further to the north into Pennsylvania, upstate New York, into southern Ontario, northern Michigan, and into Wisconsin. And this would be by right around 1 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, and this would be by 12 p.m. Central Time on 12 a.m. Central Time on Saturday. And then this would be by 3 a.m. Central Time. This would be by 4 a.m. Eastern Time as well. And then you continue to see through the morning hours on Saturday, the system dips down again through the Ohio Valley. And then really the main action is into the northeast by this point, where you're dealing with higher elevation snowfall and even some lower elevation snowfall as well. You're still dealing with some scattered rain and snow showers moving through areas surrounding West Virginia and that area. And then you continue to see again through the day on Saturday, you're really going to see most of those areas continue to see some snowfall. Let's switch over to the lower resolution NAM 12KM model, just because the NAM 3KM model doesn't go out that far. So this is just continuing that model run. We're dealing with that low pressure up in northern Vermont with all those isobars very close together. It will be a windy day on Saturday. This is indicating that you have a sharp pressure gradient from a 1017 high pressure in southeastern Tennessee to a 983 low pressure system in northern Vermont. Some of these winds could be closer to 30 or maybe even 40 miles per hour at times in gusts. And then you continue to see again more of that snow just sit over some of these areas. I don't think it will be as widespread as this model is showing, although there is definitely the threat of some snow showers here and there through especially the interior northeast through the day on Saturday. And now we're even into Sunday and through the nighttime on Sunday, and it's still snowing over these areas. And you can see your next system starting to come through. Here's your first system. By this point, this would be by late on Sunday. We have, and this would be January 17th, we have that first system up near Nova Scotia. And then here's your second system, and it looks very similar. It's in the same exact area for the most part, and you're seeing more snowfall out of that one. And that one also dipped in from North Dakota and South Dakota and headed southward into those regions. So here's what the snowfall totals look like from these models, and we're looking at quite a bit of snowfall, 1 to 3 inches in a lot of those areas, but near Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and then through the interior northeast, we're looking at maybe over or closer to 6 inches or maybe even a little bit more of snowfall. Here's what the European model is showing, and fairly similar to what the NAM is showing. It has still those 6-inch pockets, although it is a little bit more widespread. I think you could cut these amounts closer to 2/3 of what you're seeing here on your screen, and that would be a bit more of an accurate representation. And then here would be what the GFS is showing. Those amounts are a little bit lighter, but they are still generally, they have the same idea of what's going to happen. And then here's what the Canadian model is showing. Still showing a couple pockets of 6-inch plus, especially over the interior northeast and over parts of the northern plains. And then here's your maximum wind gust from now through the 17th of January. And we're looking at some fairly high amounts and fairly high wind speeds over to the northeast. And then also look at this big pocket over the plains where you have your wind gusts in knots closer to 50 knots. And then in miles per hour, that would be closer to 55 or even 60 miles per hour. Again, those are gusts, not sustained winds, but still you do have some fairly gusty winds through the plains. And that's why you have those high wind warnings and high wind watches and wind advisories in place. And don't be surprised if along the East Coast they might even put up some wind advisories. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. So here's my snowfall forecast for this system from Thursday through Saturday. Under an inch of snowfall for much of this area from the northern plains into the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys through the Great Lakes into the interior northeast. That's where I'm looking at least some sort of accumulation on some of those colder surfaces. And again, that spreads through much of the northeastern corner of the United States, from the plains eastward into the interior northeast. So it's definitely a widespread area. Here would be my 1 to 3 inch area, and that includes pretty much that same exact area, just pushed a little bit further north into the west, except there are a couple gaps here. We have a little gap over eastern Iowa, eastern Indiana, northern Ohio, and into northwestern Pennsylvania, and then another area for southwestern Kentucky and central Tennessee. Other than that, it does look quite similar to that under an inch region, and you're going to actually fill in those areas. You're going to get your next system in another 4 days or so. That's going to be a mainly snow event, and it's going to roll through mainly this area, so you will get another chance of snowfall, and that might even bring you a little bit more snowfall than what you're seeing from this system. But for the rest of these areas, you're looking at a decent accumulation, 2 to 3 inches in a lot of these areas, and then even 3+ inches in these regions. A couple pockets through the interior northeast where you get a bit of elevation or where some lake effect bands might set up. And then you see another bigger area for northern Missouri, much of Iowa through eastern and central Minnesota, and then into much of Wisconsin except for the southernmost portion of Wisconsin, and then interior northern Michigan as well, looking at 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. And then here's my 6 to 12 inch region, and it's probably going to be closer to 6 to 8 inches of snowfall over southeastern Minnesota, north central Iowa, and then through western and northwestern most parts of Wisconsin there. And that's where I'm looking at maybe 6, 7, 8 inches. A scattered 9-inch report may happen over some of these areas. And then even though you're not seeing the biggest snowfall, I think the biggest impacts will be throughout these regions where you're dealing with those blizzard conditions or those very high winds and some of that snowfall added on. So even though you see the biggest amounts to your east, those heaviest winds and strongest winds will be probably a bigger issue there. So definitely take precautions if you are going to be on the roads, because it could definitely be an interesting day. It will definitely there will definitely be a lot of snow over especially the northern plains and into parts of the interior northeast. So definitely make sure that you guys are staying safe on those roadways if you guys will be traveling. So here is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.